Yo guys, what's up? It's Ray. Today we're gonna do a track breakdown of my latest single, Sleepless. It's my debut single and I'm really excited to share with you guys what went into the production and the mixing of this track. I already recorded an interview with my songwriter on how we wrote it. So today's gonna be a focus on the production side of things. We're gonna just have a deep dive into the project file and see what we encounter. So let's go. I'm hyped. So to start off this deep dive into the project file, we'll have a look into the lead arp. This is like the main element of the whole song and it repeats throughout the whole song as well. It sounds like this, if we solo it. It's just a serum preset. I use a lot of presets because I don't really bother sound designing most of the time. And all I did throughout the whole track was modulate these macros. So as you can see over here, these are the macros. And if I just modulate them by hand, you will hear what each macro does. So because it's the same sound and also the same progression and chord throughout most of the song, I did a lot of automation on these macros. If I just fold this out, you'll see that it's moving all throughout the song. And that keeps it interesting, you know, because as I said, the progression is the same throughout all this like light red pieces, MIDI clips. And it only changes at this dark red. As you can hear, I'll show it. So only at the climax, like the last chorus, that's where it changes, you know, the progression. So I had to keep it interesting in some sort of way and I did it by using the macros. It was of course really intentional to only have this chord progression change at the end because that made the climax so much bigger. You feel so much release after all this tension of the same chord all the time. So that's the lead arp. The rest of the processing on it is not that important. It's just some compression, panning and nothing too special. Then I have two groups of strings. First a legato group over here. I just love strings, and especially to have strings in this context makes it like this symphony but in an electronic way with the other arp. So yeah, I just love that. It's actually a free plugin as well, this BBC Symphony Orchestra. It's fine and it works really cool. I'll show you. Yeah, it just fills it up really nice. I have another string group, but this is a different like playing technique. It's the spiccato, or I think it's spiccato. I don't know, I'm not a classical specialist and not a violinist at all. But anyway, same plugin and it sounds like this. Really simple. And in the chorus, this is layered with something that's really fun actually. It's layered with this sound. And this sound is actually a part of the vocal that's been spliced and transposed, you know? I'll show you. Wait, I'll show you. So it's cut off, but she's saying sleepless, and I just spliced that part and made it into a melody, which is actually really funny. And then in context, it sounds like this. It's quite soft in the mix, but I feel like it's that last hooky kind of element that it keeps it interesting at that part, you know, because it's been a long track at that point, and then just a little bit of extra information to keep it more interesting. But this one is fun. It's called Auto-Tune Scream. So for this one, I was working on this track in my room and there was a mic standing in the corner somewhere. And I felt like I needed this thing, like a melody or something. So I just recorded me screaming through the mic, through auto-tune in the key of the song. I screamed like a woo or something like that. And then through the auto-tune, it gave me this melody. Yeah, I thought that was just really fun. So I did a little bit of processing. And then I think I changed it up a bit in some later part. So yeah, I thought it was really fun that a little piece of experimenting just ended up in the track because it was like so random. I just screamed into a mic with auto-tune on it and there was a melody. Yeah, you know, you got to keep experimenting because you have to keep this work fun. Or well, it is fun, but it's also fun to experiment actually. I'll show you in context. It's a fun little detail in the arrangement, and I love it. I love the story behind it as well. Okay, let's dive into the drums next. The drums is all centered around this breakbeat that you hear. I'll show you the breakbeat without any processing. And actually I just built upon this loop, so I added some acoustic heads on the sides. I feel like this made it more organic or more human-like instead of digital and electronic. I layered some more heads, some loops. And then I layered it with this white noise shaker, which is really simple. It's just a white noise sample with this as an envelope, and then after decay of the envelope, be modulated by an LFO. So it just moves the track, you know, it creates some movement, and I liked it in context. This tom is also actually funny. It's actually like a ballad perk, if you can call it that. So it's the kind of percussion thing you would find in your favorite pop ballads, you know. Yeah, fun. And I just saturated the hell out of it with this saturator, as you can see, 28 dBs of saturation. And that sounded like this. And this is in a drum group, but actually it's like a melodic element, you know, because yeah, it has a progression. Just add some more harmonic elements to the drums. Yeah, fun. Then there's some more rides and toms and woodperks, but they are not that special. So yeah, the drums sound like this without the kick, of course. And then we're gonna have a look into the kick, but this kick is actually not the kick that ended up in the master, because when we did the mix down, but we replaced the kick drum sample with a completely different sample. So actually I'm gonna tell you this, but you can forget it immediately because we didn't choose it in the track. It's a sub kick layered with a top kick. In total the drums sound like this. Yeah, cool breakbeat. It's just this breakbeat with a lot of complementary things built around that. So that's it for the drums. Let's check the bass. The sub bass is really simple. It's a triangle wave. Nothing more to it. It sounds like this. And then I layered this one with a top bass, which was, something really simple I made. Nothing too fancy, it was really easy. I don't know how I came up with making this, but probably just experimenting and seeing what I thought sounded good. Combined, they sound like this. Okay, so that was the bass. Let's dive into the vocal production. These vocals were done by Kiara. Actually, we also made a video about how we wrote the track. If you want to check that out, I'll put it somewhere on the screen. I have no idea where, but it's going to be somewhere on the screen and in the description probably. We actually recorded the lead vocal in 2 separate days and also 2 separate mics, because I, for some reason, could not record on the same mic both days. So there was quite a challenge to make the first recording sound like the second recording, to have consistency. On the second recording, I did this EQ to make them sound similar. Let's see if I did a good job. So this over here is the first recording and this is the second recording.
And fear is useless when you already know the end. Clarity in hindsight.
So yeah, it's actually quite consistent. I'm quite surprised by that. Sounds like the same recording, so I did a good job. Okay, let's have a look into the vocal chain. We're starting out with an EQ, probably a low cut. Yes, a low cut. And then soothe and a de-esser, again some S's. What I tried to fix in post with soothe and this de-esser. After that is dynamics, just a classic 1176 LA2A combo. Looking back at this, I probably could have put the attack up a bit to have a faster attack, but you know, it probably sounded good in the moment. It's what ended up in the track and it sounds good, so that's what it was. So that was the dynamics. Then we had a pull tick EQ and a fresh air for some high end. Oh, I actually attenuated the high end here on 8K and then boosted with fresh air. I don't know the thoughts behind that actually. It's been a while since I made this track. It's been like half a year or more. I wouldn't use fresh air anymore either, but I did back then and Probably sounded good to me. Then this EQ is like the main characteristic for the sound of the vocal.
Clarity in hindsight held my hand.
Then I have a pull tag to boost the highs, I think. Oh, again, attenuate. Interesting choices, but you know, if it works, it works. Then some suit for general, like sweeping or cutting out resonances. Some automation for later on in the track. I'll actually show you this part. It's really simple. It's a part of the vocal, which is looped. And then I automated a redux, which is a bit crusher, and an auto pen to get this effect. And I think it works quite well in the track, so that was really cool. So that's the lead vocal. I separated the breaths of the vocal and put them on a different track. I always do that to have more control over how hard they hit the compressor, because otherwise you get this like really upfront breath. In this case, the breath didn't even hit the compressor, so I just left them dry. I have some harmonies here in this second verse. And together they sound like this. It's just compression, EQ, and then an interesting choice I made back then was to have a reverb before an exciter. Yeah, I would not typically do that right now, so to be honest, I don't know what the philosophy behind that was. But it ended up in the track, so who cares, you know? I have some more doubles over here.
Fear is useless.
So together with the whole track, it sounds like this.
Fear is useless.
Just a slight detail in the vocal production. EQ, compression, exciter again. You see, I was really a fan of fresh air back then. And a de-esser after exciting and compression, okay. You know, interesting choices, but there's a de-esser at the end as well. Let me get a sip of water, because I've been talking way too much. Look, this is actually really cool. It's like a dopper. If you know dopper, it's iconic. But you normally expect this to come off, but now I have a straw. Look at this. Ta-da. Yeah, really cool. Anyways, back to the track. There's some belting in the track as well. And this is my favorite part of the vocal production. Yeah, that's just the perfect way to announce a climax and to fall right into it. Just smoothly glide into the chorus. I love it. Okay, cool. That's the whole vocal production. Then the last thing to discuss is the effects part. And the effects part is actually really fun because I use quite some recordings that I just made myself with my phone. This ambience is 5 layers. I love rain in a track. It just fills up the textural background. Really nice. Then this one is actually really fun. It's called Ambience Isa. Isa is a friend of mine, and when she turned 21, she threw a party with friends of ours. And I recorded this over there.
Ik durf hier geen uitspraak over te doen. Ik moet het heel fact checken.
We willen alleen maar feiten. Dus
Yeah, this just makes me smile from ear to ear, you know. This is an important moment in my life and in her life, and in this way I've literally embedded that moment into the song. People won't notice it, but it's there. It's just added this new layer of connection to the song, for me at least. And I love that. And then I also recorded a swimming pool in Spain. And air conditioning. This I probably sound designed. I don't think I recorded this. I recorded this, which says birds outside plus NS announcement, which is the train service provider in the Netherlands. It sounds like this. So you hear this dun or whatever the melody is, and then you hear the NS announcement and the birds in the background. I thought it was cool. I just love to put these little pieces of life into my music, make it a little bit less digital in that way, and for myself to have more connection. Then this one is also actually really funny. It's called XXL Nutrition Cup, or like a bottle. It sounds like this, raw out of the box. And this is actually the sound when you, wait, let me show you what kind of bottle I mean. So look, if you have this kind of bottle, there's always this like plastic thing in it to break the protein powder that's in there and to mix it. And I had water in this and this plastic thing. And if you shake it like that, you get this sound, which I really love. So I did a little bit of processing, nothing too fancy. And this is like ASMR. I just love this sound. It just tickles my brain. So I had to include it in the song. It's quite soft on the background, but you can hear it. Yeah, you hear it on the sides if you listen closely. Then perhaps the funniest thing of this whole track is this sample. Let's see, I'll show you.
Gotta get a Sunday on the side. Okay.
This sample is of a friend of mine who studies here with me on the music school in Haarlem. And he's always blurting out like random stuff. So in this specific video, he shouted, or he was laying under a table, believe it or not, and he was shouting, "Can I get a sundae on the side?" Like, it was so random, but it was so extremely funny. So I just had to include it in the song, because why not, you know? I had the choice of including it, so I included it. It sounds like this in context. Every time I hear that, it's just funny, because I have the video in mind and it's like, yeah, it's just crazy. Then I resampled some stuff, I think. I think these three are from the same source. Let's have a listen. So probably I found a sound in my track that I just recorded, resampled, and then did some crazy stuff with it. Maybe a shaper box, it could be, or some warping. I have no idea actually, but it sounds really cool and I love it. Actually now as well. It sounds... So it's actually a really interesting like textural thing. It's quite far in the background, but yeah, adds a lot, I think. So we're almost there. Let's have a look at the sends. This is probably, yeah, it's just a Valhalla. As you see, lush vocal preset. This one as well. For the drums, cool, nothing special, just two Valhallas. I used this one to create contrast in the drop, as you can see here. So by just cutting it away instantly before the drop, it creates a little bit of contrast. And yeah, that's it actually. So as you can see, the track is really only centered about three main elements, which is the drum loop, the breakbeat, the arpeggio lead, and the vocal, I would say. Everything is built around these three layers, and the rest is actually just supporting the strength of these layers. So yeah, this is what the production sounded like. Then we bounced it. I got rid of the reverbs and the sidechains, etc. And I bounced it and I mixed it together with Dan, the legend. Thank you, Dan, for mixing and mastering my track. You're a hero. And actually, that's it already. That's the whole project file of Sleepless. There you go. So that's actually all there is to it. The complete deconstruction of my latest track, Sleepless. If you want to check it out, do so on my Spotify. I'll also put a link below in the description. I want to thank you massively for watching all the way to the end. It's really appreciated. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Ciao.